Hey,
Yeah, it'd be awesome if you introduced yourself. I'm really excited to be interviewing you today.
sure. So my name is Sara Hagg, and I'm an associate professor at Karolinska Institutet in Stockholm, Sweden. And I have a research group in epidemiology of aging. So my focus is really trying to understand biological aging from a population-based cohort perspective and looking at associations with aging and different age-related diseases. Yeah, in brief.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for making the time. Yeah, so just to get started, I'd love to know, like, first off, sort of what obstacles did you face getting to where you are today in the longevity field?
Difficult question. Well, I think maybe sometimes, I'm working in Sweden, so I have this from a context as a researcher in the Swedish community. And I think, well, to start with, the questions around aging biology and longevity and so forth are not so developed in Sweden, I would say. So much of the research is still very traditional medicine focus. And sometimes I experience that people do not really appreciate the whole neuroscience field of thinking, and it's overall there is no understanding for it. So it's still a little bit of perhaps some obstacles in that way, that to get people to understand the type of research that we do and why we do it and why it's important. So there is still more traditional, perhaps gerontology-based research or psychologists doing studies on cognition, but really the whole context with biological aging is still, to the most part, not understood by the general research community.
That makes total sense. Especially since like I feel like longevity is such a, it's a very like new but also very forward-thinking field. And it's sort of hard to like, sell other people on, oh, we're not trying to just create like elixirs to live forever, but there's like productive, really, really productive research going on. Yeah, that makes total sense. Well, what do you think is the most important thing to do now to create like good progression and longevity? Like, what do you think the next steps for the field should be, in your opinion?
Well, I think that as always with research, there is no like really uh, fast way forward. You have to add small pieces to the puzzle in an evidence-based way as well. And this is also so that we can get the wider community with us in these important new areas of research. So perhaps not to jump ahead, I think is important, but also to really try to do well-designed studies and finding evidence that is really to the point where there is no question about it, so that we don't start to talk about all, to promise too much before we can really show that this is possible. And so I'm kind of in a little bit of an trying to take it a little bit step by step and not jump forward. So I think that's my challenge ahead, that finding the right balance as well to get the field to move on. But yeah, I think that there is a wide perspective in this also within the field, that some people claim that we can do very much and other people think that we're not there yet. So I think that it's also a little bit challenge within the field, that we are not on the same page here. So yeah, to really do good studies in the field where everyone really agrees on the evidence of those studies and what it takes us, I think that is a challenge ahead.
That makes total sense. Yeah. So the idea of like basically being able to progress at a good rate, but at the same time, like not overselling, like, oh, we're gonna make you live to 1,000 years in the next few years. Like that might be a little bit, yeah. That makes total sense. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. And this is sort of a similar question, but I'm wondering, like, if you had $10 million to spend in the field of longevity anywhere, where would you spend it?
Well, since I'm working in molecular epidemiology, of course, I would like to collect a huge cohort, and you do multiple omics and you follow them for a long time, and you perhaps can do intervention and trials within the cohort and study the effects and things like that, so that you could follow them over the long time, where you can link all the biomarkers of aging and also to the hard outcomes in the end. And so it's both a challenge in terms of money, but also in terms of time, that you want to follow people longitudinally. And if aging is your major outcome, of course, this is a very long process and it takes time. So not just cost, but also time is I think, a problem here. But if that wasn't a problem, that's what I would do.
Yeah, of course, like following people longitude, that might be a little bit difficult. Like all, it would be really optimal for like aging studies to last like 70 years. But of course, that is probably not the easiest thing to do.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's I mean that's a problem in the field. We're studying the the aging part, but yeah.
That makes total sense. Yeah, I guess I also would probably ask that question with unlimited time, in which case that answer would also like, the idea of like doing those longitudinal studies would also like, yeah, I don't know. It's just like with unlimited resources, it's sort of interesting to wonder where like the field would go. Yeah, that makes total sense. And what is any like pieces of advice you might have for high school students who are interested in longevity and want to get into the field? Like, do you have any advice on how to develop skills, or like I don't know, just like I guess how to approach like looking at the field and sort of learning more about it?
So I think one skill that is I think becoming more and more important, and that's not just for the aging field, but within science, is that we generate so much data. So you have to be able to handle a lot of data. So make sure that you learn that skill, like how to process data in different formats, how to do statistical analysis, and learning those skills. I think it's important. Even if you're in the lab, you are. I mean, we generate more and more data all the time. So everyone needs to start to have these type of skills in different ways, of course. But I think that is one general skill I would really advise any student to really learn.
That makes total sense. So like statistical analysis and understanding how to work with data. And are there any like resources you'd recommend, or like courses you'd recommend? I don't know if you know like, any specific ones or anything like that, just to sort of get a more of a larger picture of like the like statistical analysis and data and understanding data, or just out of curiosity on my part.
Yeah, so I think that most universities have courses in this direction, both in terms of programming, and a lot of statistical programming for scientific use is now very often done in R. So the R project, which is freely open source code, so that is a huge advantage. It's no cost, and people continue to upgrade with different packages all the time. So that's a good software environment to learn, I think. And I think most universities have courses in this at different levels. You can also attend free online courses. So for example, you can go into Coursera, and there are lots of different universities that list online courses there. So also the top universities in the world. And then you can attend courses online and get the certificates and things like that. So I think that is a good place to start if you're not enrolled in a specific program where you already have all these courses listed. But otherwise, you can find a lot of free courses, or courses that are quite cheap to attend online.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's perfect. So like universities and Coursera and like these different courses online is that makes total sense. And yeah, R is like such a cool language, especially like that. Even there's so many like packages that are publicly available that you can like you work with data with, and that's very cool. Just to sort of cap it off, I wanted to ask like sort of one overall question about like what are like a few pieces of advice you would give to your younger self when you first entered the field and you first started doing research? Like, I know this is sort of similar to the last question, but I wanted to know if there were like any other sort of, I don't know, parts of, I guess, entering the field and that kind of thing that you would give advice about to your younger self.
Right. That is really a good question. And again, it goes not just within the longevity or aging field, but really beyond this. That, of course, if you have an interest, you should try to pursue that and in that area. And if that's aging and longevity, of course, you should try to find a good group in that area. But think carefully about the PI of the group or the supervisor. Is it a early career researcher just starting up the group? Or is it a very experienced professor that's been in the field for 20 years? What type of supervision do you want to have? Because there are different things that you will, people are different, but also these type of differences in careers in the groups that you're joining will have an impact. So think about that. And also, yeah, I would say that finding the right environment for yourself, the right research group, is perhaps even more important than just picking out the exact topic of your interest. Maybe you have an overall topic and you can think about different directions within aging or longevity. Then I would advise not to select, the group doing exactly that protein, but rather find a group where the environment and the supervisor seems to be at a good balance, and there is a good work environment balance in that research environment. So I think that is really important. So because being in a good research environment will help you also for your future scientific career and all of that. So I think that is also should matter as much as the topic as well. So the combination is important.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for all your answers and all your advice. This was an incredibly interesting and super cool to super cool to learn from you. A very interesting interview. Thank you so much for your time. And yeah, have a great day. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great day.